Hi, my name is Dr. Cora Stack, and I'm asking for your support to help fund an important legal case currently before the Irish courts. Probably some of you know that this case is not about a personal grievance, it's a constitutional challenge, and I'm asking the courts to examine three things that go to the heart of democracy and the rule of law in Ireland. First, the Fine Gael Leadership Directive, often referred to as the block, and whether it is compatible with the Constitution and in particular the separation of powers. These refer to particular articles 12, 28, 1, 6 and a few more. Second, the other important strand is the current design of Ireland's protective disclosure regime is amended, which appears to be out of compliance with the EU Whistleblower Directive. Now, this has been stated by a number of different, people currently in the Dáil, Independence, and many others. So but I'm taking it as a constitutional challenge, and they're saying that what I'm saying essentially, but I'm saying it's not compliant and it needs to be sorted out, and that's the Supreme Court here. That's what they're there for, to help with this, what should be done. And third, and this is crucial, a pattern I've identified through multiple cases in Ireland and internationally. Now, it's just a coincidence that there's been a convergence of a number of cases where I can spot patterns, and I suppose mathematicians, that's our training, so that's given me that additional insight. Genuine constitutional cases appear are to be increasingly being reframed or reclassified as political or personal grievances, and issues around standing and things like that. Those kind of things are addressed, and then they appear as kind of doctrine in the lower courts, and if that can become hardened unless it's challenged in the higher courts, and that this reframing is highlighted in a way that it's very clear that this is it's problematic and needs to be sorted out. Now, I suppose I wouldn't have been able to spot this had I not had access to so many cases that were kind of concurrent or came one after the other. When that happens, they're quietly removed from serious constitutional scrutiny. Now, this is not unique to Ireland, but it's very serious. It is very serious for global democracy. This allows systemic issues to go unexamined, not because they lack merit, because of how they're classified or categorised. This is not unique to Ireland. It's a global pattern. This is why it makes it even more, stunning that these four cases are now kind of highlighting this incredible pattern, which without them all being kind of adjudicated upon close together, I wouldn't have been able to spot this. But Ireland now has an opportunity to lead. I'm asking the Irish courts to help reverse this trend, to reaffirm the separation of powers, and to ensure that constitution and EU law issues are heard properly, not filtered out through procedural alleged reclassification. If successful, this case could send a very powerful message that Ireland's courts and Ireland is listening, that constitutional accountability still matters, and that other democracies may follow. Legal cases of this nature are extremely costly, and I cannot do this alone. So if you believe in constitutional integrity, democratic safeguards, and the protection of those who raise concerns in the public interest, particularly, if you're concerned about whistleblowing or the way whistleblowers are treated in Ireland, and unless this legislation gets changed, and the Supreme Court help us do that, this downward trend in the way whistleblowers are treated will continue. The design needs to be changed to one which is compliant, and we're asking the courts to help us with that. I would be deeply grateful for your support. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for standing by me and with me. Sorry about the something wrong with the picture here, and so even sharing this page helps. So thank you, and I know a number of you are talking to your friends and you're telling them about me and so on. And I'm just an ordinary person that's fairly sharp, very very sharp. But people people say, you're extremely smart. No, I've made myself smart. I've educated myself smart. You don't get smart by not learning. Learning is an cumulative process, and I'm reading the whole time, and law and everything to do with it is it's a bit addictive. Unfortunately, it is addictive. So I didn't realise how addictive law is. That's unfortunate, but maybe fortunate from the point of view of forensic examination of things perhaps that other people mightn't be able to persist with or sustain or investigate this deeply. So I will be setting up a GoFundMe, but I will talk about that in time. And so I believe Mr. Byrne has done this and has been very successful. It is helping because it is very difficult. Going into court as a lay litigant with no equality of arms, it's extremely challenging. When you're facing the state, and you're trying to do the right thing for all the citizens, even though the state are objecting, obviously, you're saying you're trying to do the right thing for all the citizens. So you're kind of just saying you're trying to do what the state should be doing or perhaps should have done. So it's an interesting challenge in that way, so you're trying to do right by the citizens and yet you end up challenging the state, and you believe your case has been reframed or reclassified to kind of shut the door, the gatekeeping, and you're trying to highlight this in higher courts. And interestingly enough, only for a convergence of quite a few number of cases, I wouldn't have been able to spot this, so I suppose the addiction to law has served me well. It is very addictive, but at the same time, we have to take a break from it occasionally. So the sooner the better these cases are completed, the better for everybody. But we will persist, and we will keep going, and we expect the court now to raise their standards, raise up their standards to meet our expectations, that their role is not to serve the powers that be, inverted commas, but to serve the people of Ireland and the ordinary citizens of Ireland. Thank you.